this is actually a very important point to highlight again, what I tried to emphasize at the beginning. I think sometimes there's sort of a push that sort of, like, oh, we should basically do a lot for an environmental cause, which I'm completely on board on, but we often sort of have to balance those separating goals that seem all both worthwhile in itself. We want to lift people out of poverty, we want to have economic growth, we want to make people's lives better, but we also want to make it do it in a sustainable way. So and this is my personal view yet, and in the economics profession, there's different opinions, like in any profession. So it's not necessarily what everybody would say, but there's more and more mounting evidence that we should see a price signal, meaning, something like a carbon tax or a cap and trade, like in Europe, that basically gives people the right incentive to use less carbon. And sometimes you can even use the revenues that you generate. That's something that the Red Green government in Germany has done in the early 2000s to lower other taxes, like the payroll tax cut, therefore making actually labor cheaper and people actually potentially hire more people. So that's sort of the first thing, the price signal. But the second thing is we also don't want to choke off economic growth. And there is actually good news in the last decade is that solar prices have come down so tremendously that nowadays the marginal cost of solar is cheaper than of coal. So they're basically, if you think about building new coal, then you levelize the cost of building new power plant, coal-fired power plant, rather than installing solar. So it's highly competitive. The big problem there is intermittency. We don't always have the sun. We don't have it when we need the energy. But so the next sort of technological revolution that we need, and there's work on that being done too here, is basically on storage. And there seems to be a lot of progress too. So given how, even investment firms like SAR and others basically have the updates, solar is highly competitive. The only problem is intermittency right now. If you can manage this with and that's what I would use the proceeds from the carbon tax for tourists to basically invest in technology innovation that allows us to overcome the problem of intermittency. And then the market will actually very voluntarily switch to using solar. And you should still be able to have economic growth by doing it in a sustainable way instead of just burning fossil fuels that often have very strong negative health consequences too on top of the climate change. So nobody wants to choke off economic growth, but I think we can hopefully do it in a more responsible way.